Hey guys, it's Dakota Rhodes here with CobraCast, and today we're here with,
Cara Matthews.
and she is a clinical director at Ouachita Children's Center. To get started, what inspired you to become a counselor?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, it was being in counseling myself. And it was sitting there with a counselor and having her over the course of time really help me work through some things that I was struggling with. And I just began thinking, I think I could do this. And then after that, it became, no, I want to do this. So it happened very organically. That was not a goal of mine until it was.
What education is required for this career?
So you have to have a master's degree in either social work or clinical mental health. And I chose master's, let's see, it's a long name, Master's of Science in Clinical Mental Health Counseling. So that is what my degree is in from Henderson State University.
What are the biggest mental health challenges that facing teens today?
Well, I feel like you should probably answer that more than me. I'm quite a bit older, but I will tell you, I think it's easy, instant access to people's highlight reels because social media is the highlight reels. Most people don't post the bad hair days and the bad outfits and the breakups. They post the great things that are happening. So to sound like an old lady back in my day, you didn't know what people were up to unless they told you. So there wasn't this instant access to knowing what everybody in the world was doing. And so I think that's one of the biggest challenges.
What advice would you give students interested in mental health careers?
So obviously there's the basics, like taking a lot of psychology courses, if they offer them in high school, especially in undergrad, sociology, things like that. But I think the biggest component would be really knowing yourself. And so I think it's really hard to be in the helping profession if you haven't done the work on yourself. And so I would say the best advice I have is to really know who you are, perhaps counseling yourself, making sure that you're in a solid position to be able to go out and help others.
What services does Ouachita Children's Center provide?
So we provide placement for youth ages 10 to 17. So these youth come to us either by a court order. Maybe the judge needed to send the kid to us for a little bit to complete some coursework. Maybe they sent the kid to us because their parents were going through something and they just needed to separate the parents and the kids. We also have kids that are in foster care. So that means that they're in DHS custody essentially. And so we provide placement, meaning 3 meals a day, a place to sleep at night, but it's so much more than that. So we provide activities, we take the kids places, we get them to and from school. We provide therapy. We have 2 therapists on staff. They get group therapy. And a big thing that we do is life skills. So if you, Dakota, live at home and you have someone that's teaching you how to cook or saying, hey, run and go check the mail. Hey, let the dog out, make your bed, do your laundry. Well, if you don't live in a home and you live in a group setting, how would you have access to that? So one of the big things we do is teach kids how to do those basic things. You know, where's the post office? How do you deposit a check? Things that you probably take for granted if you have someone in your house talking you through it. So we really try to teach a lot of life skills so that when kids leave us, they can go be independent adults.
So what is something adults misunderstand about teenagers today?
I think, and I'm guilty of it too, I am an adult, promise. I think what seems to get lost is that the pressures are different. And I hear a lot of adults my age, a little bit younger, some even older, not really understanding the pressures of today. And I think it's so easy to forget that I was grown and a mom before Facebook was a thing. And so I think that a lot of adults today say things like, back in my day, we just whooped them and that's what we did. Or back in my day, we just sucked it up. And I think it's so easy to forget that the pressures are so different on teenagers today. I don't know if that resonates with you at all. But even when I see the youth that I work with on a daily basis, it's so different than how it was. And it'll be that way for you one day. You'll be like, well, it wasn't like that. You know, that's just something that adults say is back in my day. But I think it's so easy to forget that the times have changed and we have instant access to so many things. Google would have made me a straight A student. That wasn't a thing. And so even that has really just changed the trajectory of where we're headed, you know, especially as young people.
What signs of burnout do you see in young people?
Probably sleep deprivation and anxiety are the two things that lead me to think, okay, we're reaching some level of burnout. I think the sleep deprivation, I'm going to tie it in with the phones. I think it's so easy. I think we forget that blue light is in our eyes if we're laying in bed watching it, and it's harder to go to sleep. And we know that sleep has a big part in our mood. It has a big part in how we function. And that's going to lead to anxiety. So to me, it all comes back to the phone. And listen, mine's right over there. I'm not saying don't have a phone. I just think a lot of the changes that we see in the younger generation has to do with the phone. Sorry.
Yeah. Are there any service opportunities for this job?
So there are. We get and rely heavily on donors and people to, donate items. I feel like everybody remembers Ouachita Children's Center at the holidays. And that's when everyone's like, we need to get these kids who don't have families that they're going home to. We need to make sure they have Christmas, which is wonderful and lovely, and please never stop. But then February rolls around, and then June rolls around. And so I think the things that get lost is that these kids are here all the time. It's not just at Christmas. And so things like if the school or, this organization here in the media department, if you guys wanted to do some kind of drive, collect sunscreen. Another big one is hairbrushes. We run out of hairbrushes so fast because that's not something you can share. It's not like they leave back a bottle of shampoo and another kid gets to use it. Like you leave back a hairbrush, no one's going to want to use that. So any type of drive, snacks, you're a teenager, like what are snacks you enjoy? You probably don't want a big bag of apples and someone to tell you that's a snack, right? So think about things, I don't know, talkies. Just think about all the things the kids want. So organizing a drive to get those kind of items and bringing those to us, that would be wonderful. It'd be amazing.
That was it. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.